Thank you, Congresswoman Jayapal, for holding this hearing, and thank you so much to the witnesses. All of you brought really important, poignant testimony, and Ms. Pierre, we are thinking about you and Rodney and want to do everything we can. It's unbelievable. And Ms. Voigt, thank you for talking about what used to be when we had civil rights and civil liberties enforcement. But we know right now that under the Trump administration, ICE has become an inhumane, lawless agency. In my home state of Oregon and across the country, we're seeing this extreme overreach, the brutal and aggressive tactics as ICE is hunting, arresting, and then detaining people, some of them U.S. citizens, most of them with no criminal record. Thank you, Representative Jayapal, for pointing out civil versus criminal violations. And many are parents of young children. As you mentioned, Ms. Pierre, your children are now without their father. We've seen ICE continuously escalate these horrific actions throughout the year. And today we're here to talk about the additional abuses that are suffered by people in detention and in detention centers across the country. These abysmal conditions, you really brought them to light with your testimony. The inhumane conditions, they're not giving proper medical care, scarce access to food and water. Ms. Pierre, you really highlighted that. I want to say I read the October 22nd, 2025 letter about the horrific experiences of pregnant detainees. And I must say, as a woman and a mother, I was gut-wrenching and I'm outraged. Nobody should have to suffer that kind of mistreatment and indignity. Any detainee in any condition and under any kind of moral, ethical, medical, or religious principles, this is disgraceful. In many cases, ICE agents coerce detainees to sign voluntary departure forms, sometimes without consent or translation, and sometimes asking detainees to sign the paperwork every day. Sometimes they revoke access to phone calls until detainees sign deportation paperwork, which is blatantly illegal. Sometimes they have them sign it without counsel. ICE's abuses even extend to some detainees who want to sign detention paperwork voluntarily. Actually, I have a constituent in Oregon who wants to go back to Mexico and sign the paperwork, but instead of deporting him, ICE transferred him not once but twice to different detention facilities, first to Texas and then to Louisiana, and held him in solitary confinement. Why is ICE holding him? It's cruel. It makes no sense. He signed the paperwork voluntarily. Maybe this is because the private prison company gets paid for every day he's there. It's really outrageous. So my state of Oregon, we don't have a detention center, so people are sent immediately up to Tacoma, Washington. It's almost at capacity. Detainees are often quickly transferred to other facilities across the country, creating additional hardships for families, lawyers, congressional staff like mine who are trying to assist our constituent. And I want to ask Ms. White, how does moving detainees across the country create barriers to due process?
Yeah, absolutely. When detainees are transferred, it can take a long time for people to even know. I'm talking about family members, I'm talking about attorneys, to even know where their client or loved one has been transferred. That can impede legal access when filings need to happen very quickly, which I'm sure is something my co-panelists can talk about as well.
Thank you very much. I also want to mention the bond hearings that was brought up. That's been an issue as well in the Pacific Northwest, and I was able to help a constituent get out of detention because of that conflict between the federal court judge who said you get to post a bond. His paperwork even said, we can't give you a bond hearing, but if we did, it would be this amount. So I hope that gets resolved in favor of letting people get out. I know the ACLU was one of the senders of the letter about the pregnant detainees. Have you actually received a response from ICE to that letter?
Not that I'm aware of.
That's not surprising. We frequently do not get responses. And real quickly, I just want to invite all of my colleagues to join me. I recently introduced House Resolution 6349, the Migrant Due Process Protection Act, that will allow people to have their removal hearings held either by telephone or video conference to keep them safe. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Representative Bonamici.